This is the continuation of section 2.4 linear functions. We're going to continue with finding the slope of a line given 2 points. Remember we use the formula for that. The formula says slope, which we use the letter m to represent that, says y2 minus y1. Remember, it doesn't matter which one is x1 or x2 or y1, y2, as long as you got the ones together and the twos together. Alright, so we're going to say y2 minus y1, and then we're going to say x2 minus x1, and then negative 3 minus negative 3 becomes negative 3 plus 3, which is 0 over negative 7, and then 0 divided by negative 7 is 0. Alright, so we learned that this, anytime you have the slope of 0, you're talking about a horizontal line, and you should be able to notice that when you look at the y's are the same. So anytime the y's are the same, we know that, remember, the line should look like this, horizontal. Alright, let's take a look at the next page. Alright, so according to this, we want to find the slope and the y-intercept and then graph it. Alright, well, there are a couple of forms you can write your equation in. We looked at standard form ax plus by equals c, and we're going to talk more about that in the next section. But another form you can write your equation in is slope-intercept form. Now, usually the name will give us some indication as to what information we can gather from that form. And so when an equation is written in this form, we should be able to know immediately what the slope is and what the y-intercept is. That's the y-intercept. Alright, so when it's written in this form, it's y equals mx plus b. Remember, anytime you see m, you're talking about the slope. So the m is always the coefficient of the x term, and then b is a number, and it's going to be where your line crosses the y-axis. Okay, so when we look at the graph, when we look at the equation, it says y equals negative 4x minus 3. So the slope of this line would be negative 4. And you may also see it written as negative 4 over 1, so that you have the rise over the run. But in its simplified form, it would be negative 4. And then the y-intercept is just the constant, and it happens to be negative 3. So what this tells me is my line crosses the y-axis at negative 3 and has a slope of negative 4. So I can graph using these two pieces of information. So we've learned we can randomly choose points. We can choose values for x and solve for y, or choose for y and solve for x. That's one method we learned. We also learned you could graph using the x and y intercepts. If your equation is written in slope-intercept form, then you can also graph if you have a point and the slope. So the way we would do that, we have a point. This is the y-intercept, so it crosses the y-axis at this point, 0, negative 3, so that's down here. Negative 3, I know my line goes through there. Then I can use the slope to find additional points. So my slope, rise, the top number, is negative 4, so that means I'm going to go down 4. So if I went down 4 from my first point, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then right, the run tells me left or right. Since it's positive, I'm going to go right 1. That would be the next dot. Or I could go up 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and left 1. That would still give me a value of negative 4. Like this. All three of these things are equal value. This is just the simplified form. Negative 4 divided by 1 is negative 4, and 4 divided by negative 1 is negative 4. So I can use either two pieces of information to find my points. Then once I get the points plotted, then using a straight edge, if you need one, connect the dots. Alright, I like to do about 3 points when I'm graphing it myself to make sure that I have that my points line up to a straight line. In MyMathLab, if you're using that, it's only going to require 2. Alright, so the next thing says graph the line passing through -1, 5 and having a slope of -5/3. So I know my line goes through the point left 1 and up 5. Alright, and then it has a slope of -5/3. So -5/3 is the same as 5 over -3. They have the same value, so I can use both to get my additional points. Rise is the up and down, and so this says go down 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I'm going to go right 3. 1, 2, 3, and put a point, and I can keep going down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and right 3. And I can keep doing that forever as long as I have room on my paper. Then connect the dots. And there our line is graphed.